Hi, in this video we are going to have a little look at how we effectively answer a question from the inheritance unit and particularly on answering a question about using a Punnett square. Now, this is quite a difficult question that I've picked here, only to demonstrate all the features that we need to make sure that we include. Obviously, if some of the information is given to us, then that's great, but this is sort of worst case scenario. Okay, so in this question then, we are asked to determine the probability that the child will have a disease called MSUD. Now, we've never been taught about MSUD. We might never have heard of it, to be honest. I hadn't either. But that's what the exam board like to do, to try and put us off. So we don't be put off with that. What we need to do now is read the rest of the question and see if we can work out what it's asking us to do. So we are told to draw a Punnett square diagram, identify the phenotype of each offspring genotype, and use the symbols capital N, which is the allele for not having the disease called MSUD, and a little n for the allele that actually has MSUD. So the fact that we're using capital letters and small letters, first of all, tells me that the allele for not having MSUD is dominant. And from my learning, I will remember that where we have a dominant allele, we only need one of those present in order for the disease to show. The small n is the allele that actually codes for MSUD, and that tells me that that is recessive because it's represented by a little letter. In other words, we need two of those to be present in the child for the child to have MSUD. So let's start about answering the question then. The first thing we're told to do is to draw a Punnett square. Now, the easiest way of doing that, which is fairly foolproof to be honest, is to draw a noughts and crosses board, which I am doing there. Okay. If we draw it any other way, we can get a little bit confused and possibly mess it up in terms of displaying our answer. So just keep it simple, draw a noughts and crosses board like that. The next thing I'm going to do is, before I even think about it, I'm going to cross out the top left-hand corner because we don't want to use that. Again, this is a common mistake where people are putting letters in there for alleles and then get all sort of confused by it. Okay, now I know you can't see this on the screen, but earlier on in the question we were told that the parents, persons 7 and 8 in the previous figure or diagram have the alleles that like this, that we are told they have big N, little n, and the other parent has big N, little n. Now, it never matters which way round, which parent we put where, doesn't make any difference for that. But we've got the alleles there, and using the symbols that the exam board have told us to use. Again, if you won't be penalised for using your own. However, you could get yourself confused. So best to use the ones that they suggest. And then we're going to simply cross them. So where they intersect, we are going to write the two alleles in each of the boxes. So big N from this parent, I'm going to write down as a capital N, and big N from this parent coincides with that cross sections, and we're going to write that in. Next, I'm going to write the big N from this parent into this box, because it follows the line. So we write big N in there, and we've got little n from this parent, I write that in there. Again, I'm going to start here, big N coming down to this box, and it cross sections with the little n from this parent. Again, I should point out, it doesn't matter which one we write first, okay? We normally start with a capital letter, but it doesn't matter if you write little n, big N for this one. It doesn't make any difference. You'll still get the mark. And then finally, we've got a little n from this parent, which cross sections with this little n here. Okay, so I've done my Punnett square. So I can tick that off, okay? And I know that I've got a mark for doing that correctly. You'd actually get, on this particular example, a mark for putting in the correct alleles from each of the parents, and then a mark for correctly crossing them and completing your diagram. Okay, so that's as far as we've got. Now we are told to identify the phenotype for each offspring genotype. So we've got some big words to deal with there. Okay, so the genotype refers to the actual combination of genes. So for example, two big N's or big N, little n, and so on. The phenotype, which is what we are asked to identify, is what those combination of genes actually represent. What is the characteristic we will observe in the child that inherits that combination of genes? So, in the question, we are told that capital N is dominant because it's capital, and we're told it's the allele for not having MSUD. So we only want one of them to be present for us to know that the child will not have the disease or disorder MSUD. So I've got at least one capital N in this combination here. Now, the best way to get the marks for this is to actually write a little key. So two big N's, the phenotype means that they will not have the disorder MSU. Oh, let me just delete that. Sorry. MSUD. Okay. Similarly, where I've got big N and little n, the fact that not having MSUD is dominant, I only need one of those genes to be present. Okay, and we've got two of these, haven't we? Two big N's, little n. So let me write that there. Big N, little n also means not MSUD. Okay. And then finally, my last one, two little n's. Now we are told that the allele little n means that the child will have MSUD, but because it's recessive, we need two of them to be present for the disorder to show. And we've got a chance here, haven't we? We've got two little n's. So in my key, I'm going to write two little n's, means that the child will have the disorder MSUD. So I have now identified the phenotype, or the actual characteristic, that each offspring genotype will show. So I've accounted for every combination of alleles in this diagram in my results here. I now need to work out the probability that was what I was asked to do, okay? Determine the probability that a child will have MSUD. Well, I can see from my results here and from my key that there is only a 1 out of 4 chance that the child will have the disorder. It's only if they inherit two little n's from their parents. Now, to secure the mark, what I suggest you do is you circle the genotype that is in question on your diagram. Then we answer the question. Now we can do this in a variety of ways. We can either say that there is a 1 in 4 chance that will get me a mark. We can show it as a percentage. So I've got 4 chances here, so that out of as a percentage, that would be 25% each chance. 1 out of 4 gives me a 25% chance of the child inheriting MSUD. That would also get me a mark. And if we want to show it as a decimal, we can show it as 0.25, which is also the same as 1 in 4 or 25%, okay, which would also get me a mark. I think it is probably easier to display your final answer as a percentage, but as I say, any of those will get you a mark equally. Okay. Now, all of those steps are required in order for you to get 4 marks on this particular example. If you messed up at the beginning and you put the wrong genes in, as long as you've used your alleles to correctly fill in the diagram, okay, then they allow that error to be carried forward. But obviously, we're not going to come to the same final answer necessarily. Okay, so we do need to take care that we read all the information that's being given to us and we set it out clearly. By just jumping to an answer and not following this, where we draw the diagram, show our results in a key like this, and then come to our final answer, we are not going to get all of the marks available, even if you know how to do it, okay? You've got to demonstrate that you know how to do it. Hope this has helped, but any problems, then obviously you can query with any of your science teachers and they will be able to help. Thanks very much.